one of my quotes in that slideshow is a Kurt Vonnegut quote that says that we're put on Earth to fart around and don't let anybody tell you any differently. So I did an investigative piece for Sports Illustrated last year. I'm teaching it at Yale, which is a lot of fun. And it's funny, one of the questions was, what writing mistakes did I make? What would I change? When I was younger, I was frustrated that I didn't go to a more elite university. I went to a little school in Oregon that most people haven't heard of. And I thought, if I'd gone to a place like Yale when I was a student, then I would be successful easier. Well, in a way, it was a more interesting lesson to not start out with a lot of connections and to make those mistakes and failures that actually gave my career a lot of meaning. And so it's, in some ways, it's more fun as an old guy to come back and teach at Yale than it was to go there and get all the tools that may have made me successful when I was earlier. And so at this point in my career, I don't know if I would go back and change any of the mistakes I made. For writers, there's always the ongoing question of discipline. I always feel like there's more that I wish I could write. I made a foray maybe 5 years ago. I was sort of dabbling in television a little bit and realized that it wasn't really for me. But I don't feel like that's wasted time. Now I know that hosting or producing television probably isn't going to be as core to my career and my life as some of the other kinds of writing that I do. And so I guess that's good advice, is embrace your mistakes and don't be afraid or ashamed of the mistakes you make, because those are your education, and that is your education. And it's just so much more meaningful to be on a campus now, having gotten my education through the School of Hard Knocks and being able to communicate that to my Yale students, than having got something more networked and received when I was younger. There was a question about how Vagabonding, the book itself, has changed. It's interesting. I read the book myself. I narrated it. Tim asked me if I wanted to, and I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, record yourself and we'll see. And he liked the way my voice sounded. And I've done some radio before, and so I reread back in June. I sat in a studio and reread the whole book. And it was really fun, because reading it aloud, it forced me to engage with those words in a way that I hadn't really engaged with it since I'd written the book. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to go back to it and realize that 99.8% of the advice is exactly the same as when I wrote it.